Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing another video in my one palette series. This is where I take one color palette and I make 3 or 4 cards depending on the day. Today I am creating 3 cards and I'm using the August 2023 club kits from Spellbinders. I have the large die of the month, which you're seeing here. I have the die of the month. Now this is really cool. It creates a little lady with kind of like on a swing and some florals. I'm just using the florals today. I have the Glimmer of the month, which is this gorgeous floral bouquet and the sentiment. Now there is a coordinating stencil set that is available and I'm going to be using that today. And then finally, I'm using the embossing folder of the month. And I love this kind of simple Art Deco kind of inspired geometric pattern. Now for my color palette, I went kind of citrusy on this. I wanted to use this bright magenta along with some oranges, yellows, and greens so that I could bring in all of the elements together. And I'm going to start with the Glimmer of the month. I feel like I always start with the Glimmer of the month. Maybe it's so I can just get the hot foil tools out of the way. So I have my Glimmer plate on the platform. I've allowed it to heat up. I ran my timer through the cycle and then I removed the platform from the base, placed it on my Platinum 6. I have some Spellbinders champagne glimmer foil and I've put that face down onto my Glimmer plate. And then I added my Concord and 9th white cardstock, my spacer pad and my shim. And I ran that through my Platinum 6 machine. And watch this, first try, I was so thrilled with the results. And you can see this Glimmer plate is really big. So if you wanted to create a 5x7 card with this Glimmer plate, you could definitely do that. But I have these gorgeous foiled results. And while I have that out, I'm actually going to foil the sentiment from this Glimmer set onto another panel of Concord and 9th white cardstock. Now I kind of wanted to get it in the general vicinity of where I wanted it on this cardstock. You can see I made an adjustment there and I'm going to actually end up with a very crooked sentiment, but that's okay because I'm going to die cut it down with an A2 size die and kind of fix that here in just a bit. But this particular foiled greeting is for my second card that I'll be creating with the die of the month. So you can see my beautiful sentiment that says, "Hope all is well with you." Just a gorgeous font and a mix of fonts here, and it foiled really nicely in that champagne foil. Now I'm moving back to this floral panel that I have hot foiled onto my Concord and 9th white cardstock, and I'm going to place this onto an 8x8 size waffle flower grip mat. That's going to hold my cardstock and my stencil in place while I add the color through the stencil using some blending brushes and inks. Now for the inks today, I am using Concord and 9th inks. I'm using lemongrass, sunflower, dragonfruit, and also clementine. So that brings in that bright green, that beautiful golden yellow, that deep magenta kind of pink, and then also the gorgeous orange. Now you may notice on these stencils that there's actually more than one kind of color family represented on each of these stencils. For instance, this is stencil number 1 and they are numbered, by the way. And you have some leaves and some florals, a couple of different florals in there. So I'm being really careful with my blending brush to just add the particular colors where I want them on this design. If you wanted to, you could do some masking, but I decided to just kind of slow down my pace a little bit here and add the color where I wanted with the blending brushes. Now I am using the Dragonfruit ink for these 2 large florals that are represented in the cluster. And the florals are kind of broken up into 2 parts. So if you wanted to do a multicolored flower on these florals, you could definitely do that. I'm kind of just doing it all in one piece. But I love adding this gorgeous magenta color in with these citrusy colors. I think it is so much fun. And you can see that between the colors on each stencil, I'm going to wipe the stencil down, and that's so I don't grab color with the brush that I'm using from the previous color that I used. So you'll see I wiped off the excess ink, and now I'm moving on to the third color on the stencil. And this is the Clementine color from Concord and Ninth. Now I'm able to just remove that stencil, place my next stencil, and move on to the next colors. I'm going to speed this up a little bit here because I don't feel like you need to see me do all of the stenciling, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of how you could work with these stencils that have multiple colors represented on them. Now, I did want to mention once again that this stencil is an add-on, so it's something that you can choose to add on to your club kits, so keep that in mind. And I'm just working my way through the stencils there. And now I have some fabulous sentiments. These are from Spellbinders and Simon Hurley. This is the must-have sentiments Glimmer sentiment set. And I'm going to foil all of these onto Dragonfruit cardstock using the champagne foil. By the way, the champagne foil is my favorite gold foil from Spellbinders in the Glimmer collection. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of a softer gold. It's not super yellow. It's got a little bit kind of toned back, but it's beautiful and shiny, and I get great results with it. So you can see that plate foils several sentiments all at once, and then there is a coordinating die where you can just line that up, run it through your die cut machine, and then you have several hot foiled and die cut sentiments ready to go. Now I'm going to use these on a couple of cards today, so I have plenty to go around and I'm going to have some left over. And moving along with this card, I'm just taking one of these sentiments, I'm popping it up using some foam adhesive. I did die cut this floral panel using an A2 die from Spellbinders to just kind of trim it down. I matted it onto some sunflower cardstock and then mounted it onto an A2 size top folding white card base, added a few sparkling clear sequins, and that finishes up card number 1 using this gorgeous palette. Now, because this sentiment was crooked on my panel, I went ahead and just took another one of those A2 kind of layering dies from Spellbinders and trimmed that down. I got it all straightened out, and now I'm using just these small floral die cuts from the Die of the Month Club Kit to create a little kind of floral design around this hot foiled sentiment. So you can see I'm combining a couple of the club kits together to create this card, both the Glimmer and the Die of the Month. And this does, as I mentioned before, this Die of the Month kit does create kind of a lady swinging on a swing and has these florals, but I wanted you to see this used in a different way because you can definitely use bits and pieces of these larger sets on their own to create different styles of cards. So I've die cut several of the leaves and the centers of the florals and the florals themselves out of various colors of cardstock. I am using Concord and Ninth cardstock today. So I have Dragonfruit, Clementine, Sunflower, and Lemongrass. And then I'm going to just start adhering these around the sentiment. So I'm just kind of going with my gut here, no rhyme or reason. I'm using a mixture of liquid glue, which gives less dimension, and then foam adhesive as well, which will kind of pop up some of those florals. And once I get it where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and stop. Now that's the key, is knowing when to stop, right? So here I'm actually going to mount it onto some black cardstock. I changed my mind, and I'll show you this finished card at the end of this video. I forgot to kind of show it to the camera here, but I ended up mounting it onto that sunflower cardstock again and just adding a few sparkling clear sequins. Now this large die of the month I absolutely love. It is actually designed to be pomegranates, and I have fond memories of pomegranates from when I was a child. My grandma had a pomegranate tree. She used to make pomegranate jelly. But I also have fond memories of oranges from when I was a child because I grew up in the middle of orange groves. My family has been orange farmers for several years, 3 generations actually. And so I decided to make this kind of an orange tree branch here. So this just kind of shows you the versatility of these die sets as well. Although it's designed to be a pomegranate, you could definitely make it something else. You could even put 2 larger florals on the end where I'm going to place my oranges, and that would be a beautiful floral cluster as well. So I'm taking the flowers that I've die cut from some white cardstock and then also from some Dragonfruit cardstock, and I'm placing them along this large vine that I've die cut from the lemongrass cardstock. And I'm just using a mixture, once again, of liquid glue and foam adhesive. And when I adhere this onto my card front, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind some of the larger leaves of the vine as well. So you'll have kind of varying dimensions throughout this die cut. Now, to create the oranges, I actually used the two kind of wonky circle pieces. There's one that has the little dots that will nest inside the solid one. So I've die cut one layer with the kind of dots or dimples cut out, and then one solid layer to go behind it, and I'm just stacking those up. And then to give them just a little bit of depth and dimension, I'm going in with some Concord and 9th Clementine ink and a mini blending brush. And I'm just adding a little inking to the edge. I got a little carried away on this one, but that's okay. It'll just have a little more shadow. It'll go behind the other one. So that makes sense. When one has more shadow than the other, put it behind the other. But I did get a little carried away. So I'm going to add that shading to both of these oranges. It goes really quickly, but you can see how this kind of orange tree branch is really coming together. Now for the florals on the orange branch, don't come at me. I know that there are no dragon fruit colored florals on an orange branch. I know enough about oranges to know that, but I just wanted to bring in pops of that color here and there. Now for the card front, I have used the embossing folder of the month. I've run that through my die cut machine to give this white panel some texture. And then here is where I've added that foam adhesive behind various portions of this branch, and then I'm going to just place it onto this card panel that I've created that's embossed. I feel like the foam adhesive that I'm using is plenty strong to hold it onto that embossed pattern. But keep in mind, if you're adhering something directly to this embossed pattern with like some tape runner, you may want to reinforce that with some liquid glue because there is a lot of texture on this embossing folder. And it always blows me away how much texture is on the embossing folder. I'm not using the 3D embossing folder. I'm just using the regular embossing folder. And I think it adds just so much texture, even on a tone-on-tone background. So I'm going to finish off this card by adding some sparkling clear sequins. And then I added another one of those greetings from the Must Have Sentiments Glimmer Hot Foil plate to my card to finish it off. And there is my final card using this one palette. I always love putting together these one palette videos because it's so much fun to see the various styles that you can create with just one color palette, but then everything looks so cohesive together. So I hope that this color palette inspires you to create something with this really fun citrusy kind of color scheme. It really does work so well for so many occasions. And here is a look at those final cards, once again, featuring the Spellbinders August 2023 Club Kits of the Month. I will have links in the YouTube description of all the featured products used in these projects, so be sure to check there. If you want to get your hands on the August 2023 Club Kits of the Month from Spellbinders, you're going to need to do that by, I believe, the 27th of this month in order to qualify for the August kit. But you will then get monthly kits that have plenty of new product and inspiration for you, and you can cancel at any time. As always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And leave me a comment below and let me know which of these 3 card projects is your favorite. Thank you so much for stopping by. Remember, you can always join me over on my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I'll have that linked below as well. Over there, you can say hi and check out some other videos and cards that I've created and find plenty of inspiration. Thanks again for watching. I'm so glad you're here. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. To subscribe to my channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.